Hello and welcome to part 2 of your Google Drive overview. My name is Mrs. Bomey. I teach English and Yearbook at West Hills, and I'm going to be your guide for these 5 parts. Please make sure that you've already done part 1, which is the overview and the folder creation, because you're going to need that folder. You are welcome to do parts 2, 3, 4, and 5 in any order that you would like. Please be aware though, we will be adding components from parts 3, 4, and 5 into this document that we're going to be working in today, so you may need to come back to it. We're going to create a primary document that we're going to be working in, and we're also going to be creating an MLA template that you will be turning in to turnitin.com. At any point in this video, please pause and rewind and rewatch a part. Take a look at what I'm doing on the screen. Re-listen to what I'm saying if you get lost along the way. Because your teachers aren't able to do one-on-one instruction with you, these videos are our substitute. And we realize that for some of you, this is old news and you're going to fly right through it. But for others, you don't have a lot of experience working in some of these Google Drive apps. So please feel free to pause and rewatch at any point, or just pause and do the work, make sure it's right, and then continue the video to go on to the next step. Okay, we're going to get started by simply creating a new document. And as you guessed, you're going to start right up here with new, and we're going to do a doc. Now, if you look right here, there's a blank document and a template. We will be doing the templates, but for now, let's start with a blank document. It's going to look just like this. So I want you to follow along and do in your document what I'm doing in mine. First thing, let's just write some starter text to get going. This is some sample text. Please write the same exact thing. You'll notice that Arial here is the default font. Nothing wrong with Arial. It's a very simple, easy to read font. It's also defaulting to 11. We can change the setup for that, but we can also change the font. So go ahead and click and highlight the font and pick something else. Look for another easy to read font. These are the fonts that I've used recently in my work. I would say Garamond is a very easy to read font. It's something that we use a lot in Yearbook because people find it agreeable. Some of these other ones though, like Caveat and Cherry Swash, are a little bit more artsy and aren't the kinds of things that you're going to want to turn in a typical classroom assignment. They're used for a little punch or to draw attention to something. Down here in your basic list of fonts, there's quite a few other good ones that you could use. This Droid Sans, or Droid with the serif, which means the little extra bars at the bottom of things. If you compare the D here and the D here, you'll see this one has a little line across the top and a little push out at the bottom of that D. Georgia's an easy readable one. There's quite a few different ones that you could use, maybe even this one. Just go ahead and change your font to something that's not Arial, and then play with it and increase the font a little bit. Most of your teachers will expect your writing to be between 10 and 12. However, there are some fonts that are readable, but they're readable if they're a little bit bigger. So you're going to find out what your teacher's preference is. I'm going to go back to Garamond because it's one that I like, and I'll just go ahead and leave it at 14 for our purposes here. Now, I can also make some changes to this. If I want to emphasize, I can bold this or italicize it or underline it, or in this case, all 3. And if I don't want those, I can just click it away. You can also use the shortcut keystroke. So as I hover over it, you see that on my computer, which is a Mac, if I press Command and B at the same time, it will make the text bold. For you, that's going to be Control B on your Chromebooks. So I'm going to highlight these 2 words, and on my keyboard, Control B. I'm going to take that away. I want to underline. Underlining is U. That makes sense, right? Underline U. And italicizing is I. So if you're doing a writing on Romeo and Juliet, which is a play, the title of that play should be italicized. Go ahead and apply on your paper a different treatment to all these words. So make one of them bold, one of them underlined, and one of them italicized. Doesn't matter which word, just do something to everyone in your sample. The next thing we're going to do is take a look at how we can add in some color. This color with the letter A applies to letters, obviously. So I'm going to make this one green. That green's a little hard to read for me. So now I'm going to try this bright blue. It's a little bit better. Still not really punching. These are the full value colors. So this one, if I hover over it, you can see it says purple. And this one, if I hover over it, it says green. And that is some neon green. As I move my way down, the colors jump to a very light version, and then they get darker from light green 3, light green 2, light green 1. Now I've got dark green 1, dark green 2, dark green 3, all the way down to the bottom. That green almost looks black. Let me find something that's pretty punchy. Go ahead and make the word text have this very bright color. I can also add a highlight color, just like a little highlighter that you would hold in your hand. So go ahead and take the word sample and add a highlighting color to it. Here's a nice yellow, really punches that word up, really draws people's attention to it. I could also highlight this word in blue and do a combination by changing the letters to yellow. And now it sticks out. On one of the words in your sample sentence here, please add a background color and change the color of the text to something that's easily readable. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a link, a hyperlink that's going to take people someplace on the World Wide Web. So go ahead and hit a couple of returns and then type in something that you've been interested in. I've been practicing skateboarding, or I've been watching the Umbrella Academy Season 2, or whatever it is that you've been doing this summer. So I have been watching a lot of shows on Netflix. That's what I'm going to say, typo. You'll see it has underlined in red because it's recognized that I made a mistake. It's calling my attention to it. And if I click on it, it's giving me a suggestion. Now, they're not always right, but they usually are. So I'm going to take that suggestion. Now what I want to do is I want to create a link. So I have to figure out what I want people to click on. In this case, I want them to click on the word Netflix. So I'm going to highlight the word Netflix, and then I'm going to go here and click link, or I could use Control K or Command K, depending on what kind of computer you're on, to pop this screen up. And now I'm picking how I want my link to work. If I want it to click on Netflix and I want it to go someplace, it's already making a suggestion for me that I might want to go to netflix.com. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in and say apply. And now, if I click on this, it's going to pop up a link for me. And if I go there, it's taken me to Netflix. That's exactly what I want. I can add some direct sites though, if I want to too. I can say one show I've watched recently is the Umbrella Academy. Whoops, I added underlining there, which I didn't mean to do. I wanted to get rid of the italics. Season 2. So now I want to go to something about the Umbrella Academy in case people don't know what it is. And I can decide, do I want to take them directly to the Umbrella Academy in Netflix? Do I want to go to a Wikipedia page? Do I want to go to something about the original material. So I'm just going to type in Umbrella Academy here. Something jumped up for me. Let's see what my results are. Wikipedia. I'm going to send people to Wikipedia. So now I'm on the Wikipedia page. I'm going to double click up here. Oh, it's not giving it to me, so I will highlight, do my copy command, Control C or Command C. And now I'm going to go back to that untitled document that I had and do the same process. Highlight what I want people to click on, in this case, the Umbrella Academy. I will click the link. I'm going to paste, and it knows, because it's tracking everything I do, that I was just there. But if it didn't have that, I could do the paste command, which is Control P or Command P, and then say apply. And now someone looking at my document could go to Netflix, but could also go to the Umbrella Academy. So I have now added 2 links. Please make sure that you have 2 complementary links in your sentences that you've written that will send your teacher to learn a little bit more about you and what you've been doing with some of your time. If we continue to move across this bar, you can see we have the option to insert an image. So there's 2 ways I can do this. I can access it through this little shortcut, or I can go up under Insert and do Image here. You'll notice that the options it gives me are the same. I can upload something I already have on my computer, or I can go out and do a search on the web to see what's available. I can also pull from any of these places. I am going to upload from my computer, and I am going to bring in something that I made in Canva for my juniors last year during distance learning. And I can tell you right now that I know it's going to bring it in as a very large image. So I click open, and now suddenly looks like I lost my document, but it's actually still up here. And this is the thing that I created. I'm going to click on it because it's way, way, way too big right now. And then if I grab and click on one of these corners and drag it in, I can make my image significantly smaller, which is what I want to do. I've made it small enough now that it's fitting on page 1 of my document. And down at the bottom of my image, underneath all the little handler squares, I see that I have 3 setup options: inline, wrapping text, and breaking text. I want it to actually wrap, which is exactly what you think of. The image, make it a little bit smaller, is, oh, it's fighting me a little bit, that's okay. The image is actually, I'm going to use my arrow keys to scoot it up and scoot it over. And now it's wrapped up in the original text that I put together. Now I don't need my image is very large, and I don't need it to be quite that big. So whatever you picked as an image, I'd like you to import that image into your document. You can also drag something in from your desktop if you have that, and make it small enough that we can still kind of tell what it is, and then align it so that it's wrapping with the text. So you can change the margin, how much space that's there. You can make it bigger. Oftentimes I make it really small so that the text gets right up next to it, but you can also move it to here. And insert your image in. Your image does not have to correspond with the sentences that you wrote here, nor with the links that you put together. Just something to show us that you can bring in an image. Now I want to provide you with a little bit of information about copyright. I made this image, so it belongs to me. I am the copyright holder. But sometimes there are images out on the World Wide Web that we don't have permission to use. So I'm going to show you how to deal with that. I can search for images here in Google. Actually, I don't want to do it this way. I actually prefer to go to images and do a Google search. Down here at the very bottom in the lower right-hand corner is something people usually don't pay attention to, which is the settings. And I want to go to advanced search. So I want to look for things that are free for me to use, that I am allowed to use. Sometimes people say, oh, and it's education, you can use whatever you want. That's not true. We should still be using things that we have permission of the owner, the copyright creator, to use. I'm going to show you a difference here between two searches. So let's search for welcome back to school. And I have no license filter on, so it's just going to show me everything that's available. Okay, so at the top I have this bright multicolored one, I've got the bubble one, and I've got the school supplies and pencils and a chalkboard. All right, let me click on settings here and go back to advanced search and change that to free to use. Well, this looks like a chalkboard one, but you'll notice that we don't have the same images available. That very brightly colored one and the one that was like a bubble cloud, etc., those are gone. Those images were posted, but they hadn't been indicated that they were free for us to use or available for us to use. So I would need to pick something that the creator, the owner, has said, yes, you're welcome to do that. You're welcome to use my stuff. I'm going to go with this one, and I'm going to copy this image and take it back to my document and then paste it in. And now I've got this chalkboard version. Again, it's pretty big, bigger than I want. So I'm going to grab one of the handles in the corner and scoot it down. And this one is set up again to be in line. Just go ahead and bring in a second image, something that you've found in your search that is free to use. And the last piece I'm going to add in to this image, go to the actual image. When I'm here, I'm going to capture the URL for it by highlighting and copying it and take it back to my document and say, you can find the original image here. And I'm going to do one more practice with inserting a link. I want people to click on the word here in order to get to the original location. So I'm going to highlight these 4 letters, go here, and paste that URL that I just found. And now, get rid of this. This link should take people to the Pixabay site, and there is the original link. And it's easy now for me to see, yes, this one is actually free to use. We're not in commercial use, we're not selling anything in our school setting. But it is important to know if you're planning to use an image and you're going to use that image to sell a product of yours. So to recap, we've adjusted some of our text. We've written 2 sentences and included 2 separate links that are related to each other. We've imported an image that is set up to wrap, and it's next to our text, so we can see that the text is jumping away and coming down. And then we've imported another image that is free use and included a simple sentence with another link to where we can find that original document. Okay, our next step is going to be we're going to insert a table. We're getting close to the end here. I'm going to go to Insert, Table, and I want it to be 5 across and 3 down. So set your table for 5 by 3. If you accidentally make the table and it's the wrong size, it's okay. You can do Control-Z to undo that. And then you can come back in and insert and make your table 5 by 3. So I've got this table set up, and I'm going to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You get where I'm going here. And I'm going to grab all of this text and use this feature to center it. Sometimes, don't do this please, people will want something centered on the page, like title of my essay, and then they'll come over on this side and they'll go space, 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 or maybe, if they think they're advanced, tab, 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 space, space, space. And then they go back and adjust it, which is kind of okay, but what happens if I change my font and I make it the word a lot smaller? Now it's not lined up in the same spot. But if I get rid of all of this spacing and tabbing over here and come to center alignment, it's going to automatically put it in the middle of my page. And now if I pick this font and I pick this size, whoops, I skipped a letter. What did I have? Arial 30. Easy enough mistake to fix. There you go. It's centered in the paper. You don't need that in your document though. You're going to center your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And now that I'm looking at this, I think, you know what? I actually want another column on this side. So I'm going to click here next to Monday and go to Format, my table, and I want to insert a column on the left-hand side. Bam, gave me a new column. Awesome. Down here, put 10 to 11, and here put 11:30 to 12:30. These are our live class sessions for Monday through Friday. So Mondays, your teachers have planning time, so there's no live hours then. But Tuesday during 10 to 11 is your period 1 time. So here, put the name of your period 1 class, and that's also Thursdays at this time. And this is period 3. Then on Wednesdays in the morning, we have period 5, and if you happen to, period 7. Some specialty courses are having period 7s. So what I want you to do is add in your class. So perhaps you have English period 1. But add in your class to each one of these. So it shouldn't say your class, it should say exactly what it is you have. I want to copy and paste this into all of these. And if you don't have a period 7, then just put N/A. It means not applicable. This doesn't apply to me. Now you've got your schedule set up. There may be though some meeting times that are happening a little later for some of your courses. So let's go ahead and add a row to the bottom of this table so we can add more information down here. Go to Format again to Table, same procedure. And this time we're going to add a row below where we currently are. Let me show you what happens if I put a row above. It sneaked one in right here because I had been clicked in this box, so it put in a row above. I don't want that, so I can do Control or Command Z to get rid of that. Or I can click in here and I can go to Format Table and I can delete that row. There's a lot of ways to get where you want to be. I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to Format Table and I'm going to insert a row below. Now I can add in something else. So let's say I'm taking an advanced placement course and I have something going on, some study sessions that are happening later in the day, or I happen to know that my social science teacher is offering extra tutorials, I can put them on here to have that schedule set up. The process for adding and removing rows and columns works the same. You can also grab this and change the size of it. Maybe I want it to look a little bit more like that. And then if I still want all of these to be even, because look how big Monday is, that's not going to work. So I'm going to go to Format, Table, and I'm going to distribute my columns evenly. Columns go up and down, like columns that would hold up a building, decorative columns. And for rowing, you can always remember the row, row, row your boat. It moves you across the water, left to right, right to left on a flat surface. So those are the rows that go across that way. I want to distribute my columns. Look at that. That's pretty awesome. It made them all the same size. But let's face it, most of us aren't going to have a lot of things planned on Monday, so I might want to make Monday a bit smaller. And then I want Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to be the same size. So I'll come to Format, Table, distribute my columns again. And now Monday stayed tiny, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday all ended up being about the same size. This is a little bit bigger than I want it to be, so I'm going to scooch that up. Okay, let's label this as a sample table. And then the last thing that we're going to do is come here, make sure we're on the left-hand side, and put in sample drawing. Wow, my text is pretty big there. That's not the size I want it to be. I want it to look very similar to the things I already have. So I'm going to take any text that's what I want this to look like. I'm going to highlight that, and I don't even need all of it. Just a couple letters is fine. And I go here to this paint format roller. Click on that, and now you can see my cursor has turned into a little tiny paintbrush. It's ready to paint this style onto these words. So I will click and drag and let go, and it fixed it up nicely for me. So let's say that I really liked this look as a header. I can grab that style and bring it here, and we're good to go. Now if I come down to here, it's not going to do it again because my cursor has gone back. So I'm going to grab a little bit, load up my paint roller, and put it back in. You're going to be in part 4 of this series creating a drawing in Google Drawing, and then ultimately coming back and pasting it into this document. So the last thing we need to do with this document is name it and make sure it's where we want it to be. Up at the top, you'll notice it says Untitled Document. I want to give it a name that will allow me to search for it easily and to identify it when I see it in the drive. So this Untitled document's very gray. No name has been put in there. The moment I click here, you're going to see that it's going to pull the very first bit of text from the document. There it is. This is some sample text. Doesn't have all the fun formatting, but it's the same words. That's not what I want my document to be called. That's not going to help me recognize what it is. So I'm going to change this to Bootcamp Practice. And then I'm going to put a hyphen, and I'm going to put my last name, so that it's easy not only for me to know what the document contains, but for my teacher to know which of the many, many, many documents that are called Bootcamp Practice is actually mine. And then I can simply hit the return, or I can click away and the name will be saved. So going back to Drive here, oops, let me get out of that. I want to find this document in my Drive. Well, it's one of the most, I just actually searched for it in a practice, but I'm going to go back to Drive. It's not showing up here in my quick access yet. Just depends how fast things are refreshing. Let's say I'm trying to remember what it is. I think, oh yeah, it was something called practice. So I type that in and not quite seeing it come up. So I hit the button. Up, there it is, Bootcamp Practice. Awesome. Now, if I want, I can open it up, or I can right-click on it and put it somewhere that'll make it easier for me to find later. So I want to move this to the folder that we made previously. I remember that I have my folder that I starred, so I can go right here to the starred section, find my English 2021 folder that has my last name, first name, and ID number, and I want to move it here. So it says this item will be visible to everyone who can see this folder. Remember that you shared your folder with your English teacher, so that's why you're getting that warning. And yes, that's what we want to do, so we say move. Now, in the future, if I need something for my English class, I can come here to Start. I can open my folder. There's my breadcrumb, Drive, and the name of the folder. And there is my document with the little blue piece of paper icon that lets me know that it's a doc, and I open it up, and I can continue editing or do whatever I need to do with this document. I don't have to share it with my teacher because it's automatically shared by being in the folder. So that's part of the benefit of putting something in that folder. Anyone that the folder is shared with will have access to everything that's contained within the folder. You've now completed the first part of your docs. The next step is going to be how to do a template for MLA, and we're going to complete the turnitin.com assignment as well. I'm going to pause here and I'll be back in a moment.